answer honestly. Right now, before you think too hard. Do you control your money, or does your money control you? Most people answer in about half a second. Of course I control my money. I decide what I buy. I pay my own bills. Nobody holds my hand at the register. And most of those people are wrong. Not slightly wrong. Wrong the way a man asleep at the wheel is technically still in the driver's seat. Here is the uncomfortable part. Control is not a feeling. It is a behavior. You can feel completely in charge of your life, while your money makes every real decision for you. The feeling of control and the fact of control are two different things, and the gap between them is where most people lose their entire financial life. So we are going to close that gap, not with a lecture, with a test, a checklist, 8 questions, each one a small trap. If you pass, good. You are rarer than you think. If you fail, and most people fail at least half, then your money has been running the show while you clapped along, convinced you were the director. Before we go on, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We love seeing how far this story travels. And if you're loving it so far, join the family by hitting subscribe, because tomorrow we've got something special lined up just for you. Get a pen. Actually get one. The people who just keep it in their head are usually the ones with the most to hide. Here is the first question. Check 1. The silence test. Close every app. No banking tab, no notes, no spreadsheet. Just your memory. Now tell me, roughly, how much you spent last month and where the biggest chunk went. If a number and a category came to you instantly, you are driving. You know the road. If you sat there in silence, doing the mental version of squinting into fog, then you are not driving. You are a passenger who has convinced himself he is a pilot because he can see out the window. This is the most basic test there is, and it removes most people on the first try. You cannot control something you refuse to look at. A person who does not know where their money went last month has no business claiming they decide where it goes next month. That is not budgeting. That is hoping, with extra steps. The fix is boring and it works. For 30 days, write down what leaves your account. Not in an app that hides the number behind a friendly little chart. On paper, or somewhere you actually have to see the digits. The goal is not the record. The goal is the flinch. Which brings us to the next one. Check 2. The flinch test. Picture spending a specific, meaningful amount on something ordinary. Now notice what you feel. Do you feel anything at all? When you hand over cash, your body reacts. You watch the bills leave. Your wallet gets thinner. There is a small, useful sting, and behavioral researchers have a plain name for it. The pain of paying. It is not a flaw. It is a filter. It is the half second where your brain asks, is this actually worth it? Before the money is gone. Now here is what a card does. Tap. Beep. Done. The shoes are yours. The sandwich is yours. The second monitor is yours. And you felt nothing, because nothing physically left you. Researchers have run this experiment more times than anyone can count, and the result keeps showing up. People will spend more, sometimes a lot more, for the same item when they pay by card instead of cash. Same person, same wallet, different anesthetic. That is what your card is, not a payment method, an anesthetic. It removes the pain, and when you remove the pain, you remove the question. You stop asking, is this worth it? Because it does not hurt, so how bad could it be? You pass this test if you still flinch. Not at every purchase. That is just anxiety, and anxiety is not control either. You pass if you flinch at the pattern. If the 5th food delivery this week registers as a 5th, not a 1st. If the number, not the tap, is the thing you feel. If nothing registers, try this. For 1 month, put your 2 weakest categories, usually food and random online buys, on cash. Real cash, in an envelope, withdrawn on day 1. When the envelope is empty, you are done. It sounds primitive. It is supposed to. The paper wall does something the invisible limit never will. It lets you feel the edge before you go over it. Check 3. The empty room test. Look around the room you are in. Look at the things you bought in the last year. Be honest about one question. How many of them did you actually want? And how many did you buy to change how you felt for an afternoon? There is a difference, and your money knows it, even when you pretend not to. Some purchases are wants. You thought about them, you used them, you would buy them again. Others are moods wearing a receipt. You were bored or tired, or you had a bad day, or someone you barely like posted something nicer than what you had. So you bought a feeling, and a physical object came attached to it by accident. 200 years ago, a French writer named Denis Diderot was given a beautiful new robe. Suddenly his old desk looked shabby next to it. So he replaced the desk. Then the chair looked wrong. Then the art on the walls. He spent himself into debt, chasing a standard set by a single dressing gown. And then he wrote an essay blaming the robe. We do the exact same thing with a new phone, a new couch, a new pair of shoes, that then demand new everything else to match. One nice thing sets a new baseline, and the baseline sends you a bill. You pass this test if most of what you own earns its place. You fail if your home is a museum of small emotional emergencies, each one solved with a card, each one forgotten by the next weekend. The fix is not to stop wanting things. It is to put a gap between the feeling and the purchase. Give it 3 days. Not 3 minutes standing in the store lying to yourself about needing it. 3 days. Most of what you needed will be gone from your mind by day 2, which tells you it was never the thing you wanted. It was the feeling, and the feeling was free. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Check 4. The Friday test. Your paycheck lands. Walk me through the next 72 hours. What actually happens to that money? For most people, the honest answer is, nothing happens to it, on purpose. It arrives, it sits in checking, and then it drains, a little here, a little there, until the number is low again, and the anxiety comes back right on schedule. These people will tell you they save whatever is left at the end of the month. There is never anything left at the end of the month. There is a reason for that, and it has nothing to do with the amount they earn. Money behaves like water in a container. It spreads out to fill whatever space you give it. Give your spending a $2,000 room, and it will find $2,000 of things to become. Not because you needed them, because the space was there, and your brain is very good at inventing needs to fill empty space. This is Parkinson's law, wearing a different coat. Work expands to fill the time you allow it. Spending expands to fill the money you leave in reach. So the person who saves what's left is running the equation backwards. Income minus spending equals savings, and savings loses that fight every single month. The person who controls their money runs it the other way. Income minus savings equals spending. You move the savings out first, on day 1, before your brain has even met the money. Whatever stays behind is the whole budget. If it runs low, you get creative. You cook, you walk, you survive, easily, on a number that felt impossible only because you never once tested it. You pass this test if saving is the first thing that happens to your paycheck, not the last hope. You fail if your savings is a leftover, and leftovers, as anyone who has stared into a fridge at 11 at night knows, are usually just an empty container and a memory. Check 5. The subscription graveyard. From memory, right now, list every recurring charge that will hit your account this month. Every app, every service, every free trial that grew up and got a job without telling you. Take your time. Most people get about 6 of them and go quiet. The dangerous ones are not the subscriptions you remember. They are the ones you forgot. Because a charge you forgot is a charge you are not deciding to make. It is just happening to you, month after month, a small automatic withdrawal to a version of you who signed up 18 months ago for a reason you can no longer name. This is the purest test of control on the whole list, because it is not about willpower or temptation. There is no temptation here. You are not being tempted by the streaming service you watched twice back in April. You are simply paying for it out of pure inertia, and inertia is the opposite of control. It is what happens when nobody is deciding and the money keeps leaving anyway. You pass if you can name them all, and better, if each one still earns its spot. You fail if opening your subscriptions page feels like meeting strangers. So go open it, right after this, and cancel the ones that surprised you. Every single one of those is money you were setting on fire out of politeness to a decision your past self made and never checked again. Check 6. The Bad Tuesday Test. Nothing dramatic, just an ordinary bad Tuesday. Your car makes a sound it should not make, or the fridge dies, or the dentist finds a problem. A few $100s, maybe a bit more, out of nowhere. What happens next? Notice I did not ask how you would feel. I asked what happens. The feeling, panic, is roughly the same for everyone. The difference, the only difference that matters, is what you reach for after the panic passes. Do you reach for a fund that exists for exactly this, so the bad Tuesday becomes a boring transaction and a slightly smaller savings balance? Or do you reach for a card, a loan, a borrowed 20 from someone you did not want to ask, so one ordinary problem turns into 3 months of catching up? Here is the brutal version. If a single unexpected expense can knock your whole month sideways, you do not control your money. You are one surprise away from proving it, and the surprise always comes eventually. You might feel in control for long stretches, sometimes years, right up until the Tuesday that shows you never were. You pass this test if you have a buffer, a small pile of money whose only job is to absorb surprises, so the surprises never reach the rest of your life. It does not have to be large. It has to exist. You fail if your emergency plan is a knot in your stomach and a hope that nothing breaks. Hope is not a plan. It is the thing people have instead of one. Check 7. The Landlord Test. This one is a single question, and it stings. When your next paycheck arrives, who does the first slice of it belong to? You or someone you owe? If you carry debt, sit with this. A part of your salary, before you ever see it, before you spend a cent on your actual life, is already spoken for. You will go to work. You will trade your hours, your attention, your one non-refundable morning, and a chunk of what you earn will walk straight out the door to pay for a choice you made a long time ago. You are not working for your future. You are working a second shift for your past, and your past does not tip. That is what debt actually costs, not just the interest, though the interest is a thief working around the clock. The real cost is that your time stops being yours. Your money has a prior claim on it, and every raise, every good month, gets skimmed before it ever reaches you. Now, not all debt is the same, and pretending it is would be its own kind of dishonesty. But the test is simple. You pass if your income arrives, and it is yours to direct. You fail if the first and biggest thing your paycheck does is report for duty to a balance you have carried so long it feels like furniture. If you are failing this one, the way out is not the clever way. The math says, attack the highest interest rate first, and the math is correct. But people are not spreadsheets, and a plan you quit is worth less than a plan you finish. So pick the smallest debt, the little one, and kill it completely. Cross it off. Feel the thing you feel when a name disappears from that list, that specific hit of momentum. Then aim everything at the next smallest. Debt survives on your sense of hopelessness. Take that away, and it starts to lose. Check 8. The Enough Test. Last one, and it is the quietest, and it decides everything the other 7 cannot. Answer without dodging. What number is enough? Not rich, not comfortable, a real figure. How much income? How much in the account? would let you stop feeling that low background hum of not enough that follows you into every store and every quiet moment before sleep. Most people cannot answer, and that blank stare is the entire problem in one image. Because if you do not know what enough is, no amount will ever be it. You will get the raise you have been chasing, and for about 2 weeks it will feel like relief, and then the new number becomes the normal number, and the hum comes back at the new altitude. There is a name for this treadmill. Everyone is on it, and almost nobody notices they are running in place. Here is the part the ads will never tell you. Most of the spending that keeps you broke is not even for you. It is for an audience, real or imagined, that you are trying to impress, and that is not thinking about you at all. When you stop buying things to change how strangers see you, something strange happens. Money appears. Not from a raise, from subtraction. And that money, maybe for the first time, has nowhere it is required to go, which means it can finally go where you actually want it to. You pass this test if you can name your number and mean it. You fail if the honest answer is just more, because more is not a destination. It is a direction, and you can walk in that direction your whole life and never arrive. So, add it up. 8 checks. Nobody is grading you but you, and you are the one person you cannot lie to for very long anyway. If you passed most of them, you are not just good with money. You are free from it in the way that counts, which is that it takes orders instead of giving them. If you failed most of them, you are not broke because you are stupid, and you are not broke because you do not earn enough. You are exactly where the whole thing is built to put you, spending in a light trance. One bad Tuesday from chaos, working part of every week for a past you can barely remember buying. The good news hiding inside all of this is that not one of these tests measured your income, not one. You can fail every question on a large salary and pass every question on a small one. Control was never about the size of the number. It was about whether you are the one holding the pen. So pick one, just one. The check you failed hardest, the one that made you a little uncomfortable while you read it, because that discomfort is a map, and it is pointing straight at the place your money is currently in charge. Then tell me in the comments, which check did you fail, and which one are you fixing first? The silence, the flinch, the empty room, the paycheck that drains, the subscriptions you forgot, the Tuesday that could break you, the past you are still paying for, or the number you have never let yourself name. Write it down, out loud, in public, where you cannot pretend later that you never said it. That is where control actually starts. Not with more money, with one honest sentence, and the decision to stop clapping along. That's our story. If you enjoyed it, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. And tomorrow, more stories are waiting for you. Thanks for watching.